passion. And they always got these. And they always having fun.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, guys. Thank you very, very much for being here. This is really a really big honor for me to be sharing a stage. I don't think many people get this lucky to share a stage with somebody who has influenced them musically.
Oh, shucks.
Needs no introduction. Alexander Hacke from Einstürzende Neubauten.
Hi there.
Hacke de Picciotto. And also often a collaborator with wtih on some of the movies that wtih has been really big for. And I have the honor of having my pedal, the GODEATER bass distortion, being demoed by him. So a little bit about myself and what I do is, my name is Aditya. I run a small brand of effect pedals and modular synthesizer modules and standalone synths in Bombay, India. When I was growing up in Bombay, we didn't have much access to anything, so I started building things myself. And because we didn't have access, I didn't know what the pedals were supposed to sound like. So I didn't know what a real big muff sounded like or a real fuzz face. I didn't know what the difference was between vintage germanium and silicon distortion. I didn't care about that stuff, so I built things that I like. And one thing I always hated about bass fuzzes is that a lot of bass fuzzes don't have a lot of power in the low end. So you have to.
That's a big problem, actually.
Yeah, so you always have to blend the clean signal back into the distorted signal to give it some fundament. I said I want to build a bass fuzz that has volume and strength in the lower registers. And that's when I decided to build the GODEATER. GODEATER, I chose the name because I wanted to build a pedal that looked like it's supposed to sound. You know, it's so big it devours gods, and it's based on the myth of Kronos, the Greek god who ate all five of his children until Zeus, the sixth one, decided to cut open his stomach. But until then, he was very successful at eating gods. So
this is actually a painting by Goya of Kronos devouring his son, biting his head off on the panel of the distortion unit, which I think is very pretty.
Yeah, I was actually, thank you. I was, the painting was also very big. Like, always thought about, let's design something that can deserve to have a painting of that legendary scope on it. Francisco Goya has been dead for many hundreds of years now, so there's no copyright issue, I assure you, with this. And it looks complicated with 6 knobs and 2 switches. And one
tell
more
us
switch
about
over
the
here.
names of, or tell us about what it says on the knobs, actually.
So I have a problem with my pedals. I don't give any of my knobs normal names. So there's always, from Chemical Burn, which had agony and pain and pH and stuff like that, or my other one called Baron Samedi, which has life, death, and burial. I said, okay, let's just like leave it to the person to decide what the knobs do. But this one, maybe I should not have done that, I don't know. Each of the knobs is named after each of the children of Kronos, which were eaten. And also, maybe it's good as a history lesson, because they also go in that particular order. So Demeter was eaten first. This is the pre-gain control. So let's just give this a little level now. I want to turn everything down and turn the switches in the middle position. So this is a pre-gain knob. This will increase or decrease the saturation in the following stages. So before it goes into the main amplification section, I'm already boosting it a little bit at the front itself. What this does is that this knob actually has more control over the distortion and the harmonics than this one. When you turn this one up, it also adds a little grunt, and then you turn both, it's something like this. And this is with the pre-gain down. So if you're using two gain controls, you can get a lot more flexibility over your complete gain structure. It's really important in distortion to have control over each section of amplifying elements. Otherwise you can get really out of control really quickly, or you don't have that much variation. So I want to turn this up a little bit. And we will move to the next god that was eaten. The next god that was eaten was Hera. And what Hera does is, if you turn up Hera, it cuts out the bass at the input, which is, there's a concept in gain structures called blocking distortion, which is what happens when you have very low frequencies that have too much energy that are overloading the next gain stage, which is when you have a lot of unwanted side chaining effects and pumping effects that you want to cut out. So if I turn this up, this is what it sounds like. Over here you have more of the bass signal. Here you have more clarity. Then we have the gain control, which is named after the next god that was eaten, which is the god of the sea, Poseidon. And if you thought that was a lot of bass, just keep in mind that I have cut out the bass at the input completely. And I bring you on that topic to the next god, who is Hades, who you know is the god of the underworld. And turning that up sounds a little something like this. So it is interesting to see at this point that even when I have taken the next god, Hestia, all the way up, this is a tone control which is very much based on the Big Muff tone control, except it is optimized for the lower registers, so that when I'm turning this up all the way to the treble section, with Hades turned all the way up, I have a lot of bass. I turn this down. So over here you have and then this is of course Zeus, which is the only way that you can kill the God-Eater is by turning it down. This is a volume knob, so if you need to reduce your level, that's all it does. Except that you have somebody asked me that if you're doing all of this, can you please, I know you don't like clean sounds, but can you please put in some clean sound? So I added the disgorge switch, which is over here. So, and this way you can just So those are 6 knobs and 1 switch, which do a lot of things already. If you followed it, it just goes 1, 2, gain, filter, bass, and volume. But then you're probably asking yourself, what are those 2 switches and what are those things in the middle? Those are clipping elements. Right now, you heard everything with the clipping turned off. So that was the natural distortion of the GODEATER pedal. Now I'm going to turn on the clipping in the first stage, and then the clipping in the second stage, and show you different settings. This is the other type of clipping. Each type of clipping, each switch has 3 modes of clipping. So you have in the first stage and the second stage a very unusual clipping arrangement that uses an RGB LED. And so you actually have frequency bands being split up and distorted in different ways, which is with the switch pointing towards the right. You can actually see the LED light up when you play hard. So that's here and there. That's the clipping off. And then you have more standard silicone clipping on this side.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
Did you know that these gods that were eaten are also the names of the moons of Saturn?
Oh no, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
By the way.
Yeah.
Yep, is there any questions about this wonderful little piece of
We are also
equipment?
taking requests.
There. We actually met each other right here last year ago, and but I heard about Aditya before because he visited the Neubauten studio, andere Baustelle, the year before that, right?
Yeah, it's crazy because I just wrote to Boris, who produced a lot of the Neubauten albums, and I just said,
stuff.
yeah, I said I'm a huge Neubauten fan from Bombay, and I'm just visiting Berlin. And if it's not a problem for you, can I just visit your studio, because I just want to see like where all this stuff was made. And Boris was really nice, and he said, yeah, sure, just come over, man. And I went there and I showed him my pedals, and I had not developed the GODEATER at that point, but he saw the other things and he really liked them. And then he put me in touch with Alexander. And last year at Superbooth we met, and he was kind enough to invite me to the studio. We tried out everything in peace and quiet, not like here. And and yeah, that's how this happened.
When Aditya showed me this monstrous thing there, because I actually had I've done quite some research in finding a distortion unit that doesn't devour the bass frequencies, and this is really a revelation in that sense. And then also, you know, like being into mysticism and weird shit like that, I really appreciate the fact that that the way the potentiometers are named on the device, and I like to just experiment and find out rather than being told what to do, I suppose.
Which is kind of the idea of what Animal Factory does. I don't like telling people how to play or what to play. I'm just like, just do your own thing, man. Just, you know, make your own sound. And that's why I love Neubauten and their approach to music. So it's kind of like, it's great because things have come full cycle in some way that you didn't think would ever happen. But yeah, that's...
Yes? Hi.
Yes. A separate jack? I could probably do that on the next version. So this, your pedal doesn't have it yet, but I could probably retrofit it. But what I did as I didn't think about this when I was designing it because it was never designed to have a clean through. But the new, the current production uses a stereo jack, and the ring has a clean through. So if you use a Y cable, then you can actually get the distorted and just this clean signal that you hear, which is a slightly boosted, but still very tight clean. There's only one problem with that. As soon as you hit the bypass, it gets muted. So I'm trying to figure a workaround for that. And once I have that, I think I will, GODEATER 2 will be bigger. You know, it was never supposed to be in this format. It was supposed to be a big pedal with a DI and everything, but just the parts that I was looking at, I found some beautiful high quality parts. I said, this is really expensive. I'm going to be selling, I don't want to be selling 400 euro pedals at this point. I'd like to do this at something that is accessible, you know, not something that's really, really far out. Yeah. I think so, yeah. If you use a Y cable or insert cable, you can get the clean out. Only I put a little note in the manual saying if you want to use it like this, you might want to consider leaving it on all the time and having a separate dry-wet path. So especially if you want to split it out, keep your clean signal going to 1 amp and your distorted signal going to another, which is how I play. So when I play, we originally started as a 2-person band, so I needed to fill up the sound a little bit. So I sent out a clean from one and had it on all the time. I never shut off the pedal then. Yeah. But that's a really, I mean, like for me, it's a bit of a problem saying, you know, if you press this, your clean channel's gone. So I need to think about how to make that work in the future. So far, I haven't had any complaints about it, but I will be looking into that for sure. Yeah. Ja, haben wir noch Zeit?
Ich weiß nicht. Es ist exactly 20.
Okay, der sagt noch die Sache. Okay. Somebody.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being
here. And Aditya has his stand. Where is your stand located?
If you want to hear some really destroyed drums and listen to some really nasty techno, come to W257. it's most people don't even know that room exists, but it's behind the swimming pool, the Schwimmhalle, all the way through with electron and earthquaker devices. W257 on the ground floor. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Alexander. It was my honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.